Speaking of quarterback, I think we need to talk because the boy in our prep early morning, very early morning for the kid because he had to get up early and work. And one thing I can tell you about Dom and Pop, we are not morning people. We are not morning people, especially before we've had our espresso.
Oh, man.
Just don't talk to us. I think our significant others could attest to that.
100%.
But getting into the quarterback, you were getting into your feels. You're a little bit hurt. I don't know what's causing the hurt. Is it Twitter? Is it your text group? But let's talk a little bit about that quarterback and what we think the Commanders should do at number 2.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, it's changing for me every day. It's changing for me every day. But I'll tell you one thing: I am done hearing about from all you idiots on Twitter, and some of those idiots are my friends. I'm just done hearing about it. This whole Drake May being a bum thing. I'm so done hearing about it. At this time, I mean, how stupid are all of you? At this time last year, CJ Stroud was illiterate and Will Levis was flying up draft boards. Will Levis brought 2 women to the draft because he thought he was going to get drafted so high. And he went in the second round because he was a day 2 guy all along. And now the big thing is, Drake May. It's prospect fatigue. We've known for 2 years that this guy was going to be the number 2 draft pick behind Caleb Williams. He did nothing this year to make you think otherwise. We knew that that's what was going to happen. He's a stud. He's a really, I mean, if you went into a lab and built a quarterback, you come out with Drake May. Is he perfect? No. Does he run around like a freak show like Caleb Williams does or Jayden Daniels does? No. Can he throw the ball over the middle like a real NFL quarterback, and does he have a cannon of an arm? Yes. The guy's getting compared to Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, talent-wise, is about as good of a quarterback as you can get in the league. There is not – I don't understand with Drake May why we've just decided he doesn't know how to play football anymore. I don't understand. And, for all the, I think Jayden Daniels is a great player. I would be stoked if we got him. I really would. I think he's a great player. I'd be excited. I was making arguments for him yesterday to a friend of mine that wasn't so hot on him. But for all the Jayden Daniels highlight reel stands, look at some of the balls Drake May is throwing, number 1. If you can't appreciate him, you don't know football that well. And number 2, look at the hits Jayden Daniels takes. There's just as much reason for concern with Jayden Daniels as there is with Drake May, in my opinion. So I think they're 2A and 2B,
I think there's arguments. Here's where I'm at, any of those top 3 guys I'm going to be happy with. Because
that's exactly how I'm
going to trust in, Adam Peters and the crew, Kingsbury and Quinn and whoever else is going to be breaking them down because there's a heck of a staff there at this point to make the right decision, right? And if they love Drake May, I love Drake May. That's the bottom line. I think they all have some flaws. You hear about, May's mechanics, at times his footwork,
slow release,
which can be fixed. And then the other one that's more of a concern is some pocket awareness issues, right? Abandoning a clean pocket. What you've heard a lot about with Caleb Williams and Drake May and Daniel Jeremiah talked about this quite a bit in an interview with JP Finley, giving credit, but I thought it was a great breakdown, is that if you watch the tape, and this is how at times I felt about Sam, is that if you watch the guy at the top of his, drop, there's nothing there, and, they talked about how USC and Caleb Williams in particular, the other team would have a 3-man rush, which means you're dropping 8 in coverage. And with a 3-man rush, they're pressuring him at the top of his drop. So, those are factors and all of it seems like a bit of it, but there are some flaws or concerns, I would say, with Drake May, technically, that you shouldn't just ignore. And some of those things, the one I worry about is that pocket presence thing seems to be, I know that's what you were down on with Sam. And look, the drawing comparisons to Sam and Drake May just because they went to the same school is stupid. People did that with CJ Stroud too, with all the Ohio State, quarterbacks that haven't done well. That's just dumb. that's just coincidence. They went to the same school. But I think that pocket presence issue is one that's been tougher to coach out of guys. And that would be my worry there. But I think, I also think no matter what quarterback we get, I think you're going to see such a drastic difference in the way this quarterback gets coached this year compared to the way our young quarterback got coached last year. And I think that is going to be a difference. And again, I love that Jeremiah interview with JP. Check it out. I think it's on YouTube. He talked about that. He said, you can break it down into chunks. And if you call enough plays, a third of the plays are kind of layups for the quarterbacks, right? There might be screens or, rollouts or things that are real simpler plays to execute. And then you ask him to execute with his legs and some read option stuff or, some called quarterback runs, right? And then, you're going to have to ask them 7 to 10 plays a game to drop back and go through their progressions and go through those reads. And you can build on that. You can take that 7 to 10 plays to 10 to 12 plays in year 2 and blah, blah, blah. That's the right way to develop a player. And I think this coaching staff is going to put this quarterback in position for success. And it almost might not matter who we pick at number 2, that the way they're coached up might put them in position for success. Me personally, I think it's pretty obvious you're a Drake Maye guy, and you're still seeing more Drake Maye than Jayden Daniels.
I'm just.
Who would you pick at number 2? I don't want to put words in your mouth. Who would you pick at number 2?
I genuinely don't have my mind made up yet. I'm just not one of those guys.
To. Gun to head now. You're on the clock. You're on the clock.
Gun to head right now. My concerns about Drake Maye's pocket presence do not outweigh my concerns about the fact that there is literally not enough data on Jayden Daniels throwing over the middle of the field to know whether or not he's effective at it. My concerns, I'd rather take Drake Maye. I'd rather try and fix the pocket presence there because learning how to throw over the middle of the field in the NFL scares the crap out of me. But I'm not sure I have properly weighed in how explosive Jayden Daniels can be with his legs to the whole equation yet. So my point is not that there's such a giant gap between the two of them and Drake Maye is so much better. My point is that there certainly isn't that giant of a gap in reverse.
I have the best argument I heard this week, and I lean Jayden Daniels, and I don't know particularly why. It's just that exciting skill set. The way
gotta go to couples counseling, you and me, man. This is a rough situation right here.
He does throw the ball really well. He's got way good enough of arm.
Sure,
but
100%.
What they talked about is that if you're Dan Quinn, who would you fear coaching against as a defensive coordinator more? Who would keep you up at night more? Is it a Jayden Daniels that could kill you both with his legs and his arms? Or is it a Drake Maye? And those quarterback, and Dan Quinn's talked a little bit about those kinds of quarterbacks. Maybe not direct analogy with Jayden to Jayden Daniels, but I remember him talking about who are the quarterbacks kind of kept him up at night and worried about. And it's similar to like a Lamar. It's probably going to be a slower development in terms of the pocket passing, although he's shown some ability to do it already in the last couple of years at LSU. So I lean Jayden Daniels, but would you make the trade for Caleb Williams? I'll propose a trade to you. Would you do it? Our first this year, one of our seconds, you can either 36th or 40th, and our first next year to move up that one spot, pick Caleb Williams. Would you do it?
I would. I don't think they'll pay all that, but I would do it. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a big price to do it, but
I'm not saying I don't think it'll cost that much. I just don't think this GM group will pay that. But I would do it.
I think I would do it too, only if you believe there is a big jump, which most people do.
I do.
Between him and the second pick. So Dom got in a little bit into his feels there. He had to get that out.
That's good. Stuff off my chest, man.
That's good. I think, at this point you're leaning Maye. Is that fair to say? I don't know.
I'm leaning it's like 51-49, but sure.
Okay. I'm leaning Daniels. Like I've said a lot of times, this is going to be a ton of fun. With the situation where we've stacked up all these picks in the draft, there's one last question I want to ask you for this pod. What do you think the overall strategy is going to be? Do you think it's QB at 2? What are they doing with 6 picks in the top 100? I mean, has that ever happened before? Or it probably hasn't happened very often. They're loaded with draft picks, which you love to see.
Yeah.
What do you think the strategy is going to be? How do you think they're going to attack this draft? Do they keep all the picks? Are they looking to trade up? What do you think's happening here?
I think they're trying to fix what is a fundamentally broken roster right now, and I think they're trying to pick up as many assets to give them as many options as possible. I know you're going to call your shot on a prediction, which I agree with, and I actually made that same prediction individually before we spoke. But I think they are trying to give themselves as many options to acquire what they need to acquire as possible. So if that's Caleb Williams, sure, but I think JP made a good point. I think one extra third round pick does not move the needle on that, honestly. So I'm not so sure that the Howell trade confirms that that's happening. Is interesting that Justin Fields hasn't been moved yet, though. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I think they're just trying to stockpile as much as they possibly can and use it for just building through the draft. I mean, that's where Peters does his work. Fred Warner, George Kittle, Hufanga, all middle round guys, studs.
Yeah, you can make an argument they have so many holes that you just keep the picks and pick the best players available, and to some degree a mix of best players available in positions of need if they're in similar spots on your board. There's just an argument for that. I'm calling my shot. A lot of people are picking up on it. I think I was one of the first. Check the pods, do your timestamps, whatever you need to do. I think they're stacking those picks. I think they're going to stick at number 2, and I think they're going to trade up to get a tackle that they really like. Maybe late in the first round, early in the second. I think they're going to package a couple, second and a third or something like that, one of those. And that's, they could package a second and third and still have a second and a third and move up into the first round and get that offensive tackle they really like. And I think that's the strategy, that left tackle position is most likely going to get filled. And maybe you do sign a Cornelius Lucas as an insurance policy, which I think would be smart. But that's it. And obviously it's going to be exciting, and we're going to get juiced about all the draft picks that we bring in to fill in the rest of the holes. And I got a feeling, I don't know, I just think Dami's prediction of 5.5 wins or better, as his over-under, I think that's going to creep up. I'm kind of excited. I think this could be a competitive team in year one. Remember, last place schedule. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep. That's fair. That's fair. We got the last place schedule because we were 4-13 last year. Now almost nobody from that team is back, but still.
It might be a good thing.
Yeah, it has to be a good thing. It's certainly not a bad thing. But yeah, I don't know. I think you could see them move up as high as the top 10 again. I think you might even see them do something like what Houston did last year with Stroud and Will Anderson, where they're just like going to F it. We're going to get Joe Alt. And I'd be at that point, I'd be shirtless.
I'd be cool with it.
If that were to happen. I'd be shirtless because you've got generational talent at tackle in this draft. If you can go and you can go to 4 with Arizona, who's a team that's been rumored they're looking to get out. If you can go at, maybe 8 with Atlanta now that they've got a quarterback, maybe they're looking to get some value. If you can go make those
cost you like both number 2s or 2 3s and a 2 or something like that to go up that high.
Yeah,
I don't have the draft points board on me, but
2 from this year and 1 from next year, something like that. I would do it in a heartbeat for a guy like Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu from Penn State. They're both animals, right. But you have the Chargers there at 5 and you have the Titans there at 7 that both need tackles, so they're going to have to go up to 4. Anyways, I say we wrap this thing up. We'll probably do an actual mock draft later on.
Probably.
We will do an actual mock draft. I'm actually excited. This is finally like the draft class last year. Or no, man, we've been doing this for so long now. But this is one of the I think this is the most exciting draft class since our first year that we've been doing. Yeah. So I'm really excited to get into mock draft. If you can.
Any more Drake Paul, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Thoughts?
No, I got nothing else on that, man. Check out the short if you want to go see.
Yeah, that was fun. We'll have more to come in the future.
For sure, yeah. All right, well, let's wrap this thing up, Pop. I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Have another great week, guys.